Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions. This is DrShiny with a monthly tarot reading for the month of June for Virgo. So, hello, my fellow Virgos again. Let's see what we have in store for you. All right. Okay. All right. So, for Virgo, we have your current situation is the Queen of Swords in the reverse. So this can mean the Queen of Swords is very intellectual. She's somebody who is internalized a lot. She's thinking about how the world works. She's a very formidable opponent when it comes to any type of intellectualism. She can be a little severe. She's an overthinker. In the reverse, it's like a little bit of an abuse of these tendencies. So there is a tendency for you to kind of shut down and think you have everything figured out, and not be open to other people's ideas and interpretations. A lot of times for good reason. You probably do know better in most of the cases, but that doesn't eliminate the sort of interpersonal need for you to be respectful of others. So it's not necessarily about being right, but it's about having and maintaining healthy, good relationships with people, right? So being right is just half the battle. The difficult part is getting others to see that you're right without alienating them or communicating it to others. It's easy to figure it out. It's hard to share it, right? What you have crossing you is this King of Coins. So this means that it's difficult being the one to manage everything going on. You might want to be the more of the problem solver, but always nagging at you is the need to manage the material world around, to be the king of the castle, to have uh, um, a executive function of keeping food on the table or whatever's going on. It's a little bit stressful for you to manage both of these roles at the same time, to attempt to be, a good interpersonal communicator, which typically involves an inefficient use of time, with efficiently managing what's going on in the physical realm. So this can be kind of a problem, and you can feel a little stretched too thin if this is the case. All right. So what you're moving away from is the Four of Swords, which is being able to just sort of rest and meditate. You are not having as much time to meditate, and it may be taking a toll on you, especially when faced with so much stress, right? So moving away from that, you're going to have to make some time, and it may be just a temporary stressful thing, but if it's not, if it's kind of this way from now on, you're going to have to take some time to figure out how to incorporate that part of life back in to what you're doing. Okay, so what you're headed toward, the future, near future, is the Six of Wands in the reverse. So this is, getting a little too involved in. It can be getting too involved in fights, not focusing enough on accomplishment or getting things done, but being too worked up in other people's drama in a way, right? So this can be a distraction from what you need to get done. But again, it seems as though that builds even more of a tension here, because with that Queen of Swords in the reverse, it's like you're being asked to do things tactfully, but it's just, I think what it kind of boils down to is you have to put these struggles in perspective, because it may be that they never really go away. And so it's not so much about solving these issues as it is um, devoting a controlled amount of energy to these issues so you don't burn yourself out, to sort of pace yourself, if you know what I mean. Okay, so um, foundation of the situation is the Lovers. And the lovers, in the reverse, this kind of represents what the framework of the um, reading that you're getting is. What's the subconscious doing that is sort of producing this lesson? What's the universe trying to tell you? That's the foundation. And with the lovers in the reverse, it's you're not really making enough of a choice or a commitment. You're feeling like things should work possibly a little bit easier, or things that should be better, but you've got to realize that you have to just kind of devote yourself to it, stick to it, in order for things to get done, in order for things to work out well. So, and there could also be pressure for others who don't understand the commitments that you've made. Your boss doesn't understand that you have to have some time at the house to get things done, or something like that, right? So there's this duality or tug of war that is a big theme in this reading. So let's see if we can continue on and get a little more clarity. Crowning thoughts is the Four of Wands. Again, in the reverse, this normally refers to a very happy, well-functioning home. So there's something that's kind of out of place. Something's not quite working right on the home front. This could be the anchor on the one side that is causing this stress. It could be that something needs to be done, something needs to be figured out, something needs to be helped, and you're being pulled in two different directions, right? So you got to figure this out. This is the foundation for how effective you can be outside the home, is this happy home. So have to devote some energy into figuring out how to correct this, and be, steadfast and methodical, and absolutely have to get it done. Okay. There's something else I want to clarify about this too. The happy home energy, and I've said this in a couple prior readings, but I really love it, so I want to share it again. This happy home energy being the Four of Wands, at first I kind of asked myself, yeah, I always do this with the cards. I try to learn them intuitively, and I thought, why is the Four of Wands, which represent action, why is that the happy home? Why is that what that represents? Because to me, it would seem, almost like a Four of Coins. Um, would be like four walls of a home or something like that. It makes a little more intuitive sense. But then I thought about it, and I think I understand it. And there are four types of action that are required to sustain a happy home. If you think about it this way, first you have to put action into the home. You got to put action into, maintenance of the home, keeping things um, like the laundry done, the dishes done, and stuff like that. Energy has to go into the home. You got to paint the walls, things like that. And then you actually have to put energy outside of the home as well. You have to go get food. You have to work to sustain, to get money to make upgrades to the house or repairs. Energy has to go outward. And then you also have to be able to utilize your home as a place of rest. It has to be restful. If you have, all those other two elements, but you really can't get any sleep at your house, then eventually it's going to be too much of a strain on you. So you have to be able to achieve a sense of rest when you're at home, and sometimes that is actually an action. You might say, well, that's the absence of an action. Well, no, it's not, because if you think about it, and this is really weird, but in order to go to sleep, you have to literally lay down and pretend that you're asleep, and then it just happens on its own, right? So it is an action. It is doing something to make the choice to actually rest, to have some alone time, or to get some sleep. But there's a fourth type of action that is required for this happy home, and that is your home should be a jump off point to achieving some long term goals or dreams or desires. It should facilitate having a happy, well, it should facilitate achieving something as well in the long run. So all of these energies, these four energies, they have to exist in a balance. I remember one time I was younger. I randomly went and got a pedicure with my mom, and it wasn't something I had done before. I was like, eh, well, whatever. Let's just make mom happy and go get a pedicure with her. I was in town, and I didn't get to see her much, so I did it. And the lady there, she asked me, so you have girlfriend? You know, she's Asian or Vietnamese, I think. And I said, no, no girlfriend. She goes, oh, you have job? And I was like, no, no job right now. She goes, you have house? I was like, nope, don't really have a place to live right now. I'm just kind of couch surfing or something like that. She goes, well, that's why you don't have girlfriend. So you have to be able to essentially utilize all four of these energies effectively to achieve your goals. You're not going to have what you're looking for. You're not going to have that relationship if that good balance doesn't really exist. You know, so just a little food for thought there. If things are out of balance, look at which of these four energies you've been somewhat neglecting, and it's pretty easy for you to figure that out. For the advice, you have the Six of Cups in the reverse. And this is typically like a nostalgic card, but there's a little bit of a feeling like the past is not serving you, or that you're worse off because of what's happened. Instead of thinking about things with a fond memory or learning from things, you're kind of feeling like something's holding you back or holding you down. So figure out what that is, work on that, because it's very important for you not to visualize yourself as a product of your past, but to instead realize that you're forging your past at every single moment, and be active in the person that you are, instead of passively accepting that the choices that you've made in the past have determined who you are, which is really just the bass backwards way of looking at it, right? Okay, so the environment is the Nine of Swords in the reverse. So there's a need to sort of come out of anxiety around you. There is a resistance to anxiety, but this often is kind of thin. So there's a big potential for anxiety here. So there's a need for you to comfort other people, or recognize that they're sort of teetering on the edge, and you're going to have to take some steps to increase their confidence or their ability to navigate the situation without falling into that despair or anxiety. Okay. So, what we have for your fears card is the Death in the reverse. So, this is a little odd because normally people are afraid of the Death card, right? They're afraid of change, they're afraid of the unknown, or moving into a new you. They don't want to step out of their comfort zone, and that kind of thing. On the contrary, you're afraid of not doing that. You're afraid of not growing. You're afraid of being stagnant, of things remaining the same, and of life not really developing. I think it's about being stuck, kind of like with your wheels spinning. This is what you're really afraid of. So, interesting that that's a little bit different than what most people do, but us Virgos, we always are a little bit different from the rest, right? So we have the Hangman here for your overall message, or overall outcome. So, you know, the Hangman is about realizing that you don't really have to make things happen. You don't have to force things around. You can kind of allow the world to be what it is. And that saves you a tremendous amount of mental energy. So it's about kind of like, you know, doing what you can, but not trying to force things around too much. To sit back and relax, to remember, and not to rush. You know, I learned all about the Hangman when I was in a kitchen, when I worked in a kitchen for some time. Because when I first started in the kitchen, you know, nobody will be there at a certain part of the day, and then it gets to be around like, you know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and all of a sudden everybody is coming through the door all at once. And you know, if you're really lucky, the manager has cut all your other employees, and you're the only one there before that rush. And when that rush comes in, all of a sudden on the order screen, it's just full. And you know it takes you, you know, at least like 8 minutes to make half of these things, and you're supposed to get all these meals out or ready to go out in like 15 minutes. So it's like, oh my God, you panic. You absolutely panic. And people have a tendency to kind of freeze up because you just have 30 meals on the screen and you're like, what do I do? And so you just freeze and panic. But what you gradually, as you become better at being a cook, you learn that you cannot stop. You can't freeze. You just go in, take the next thing that needs to be done, and you tackle it. And you take it one single step at a time, but you move steady. You don't try to rush so much that you're becoming so flustered and frustrated you don't know what you're doing, and then you just drop your concentration and you mess everything up. Because you can't just make the food, you have to make the food right. You can't burn it, you can't make it, you know, give somebody tomatoes when they ask for no tomatoes, right? So you have to actually focus, but you can only do what you can do. So all of the rest of people's expectations and stuff like that, they can take it, they can have it, right? Because ultimately, it's, you know, management's responsibility if they didn't hire enough cooks or whatever for it to be done properly. So you develop the ability to not rush, to never be rushed, to where you're like, oh, I gotta get this done, but you are taking your time to do it the right way, as much time as required, but no more, no more time. You're just going step by step, exactly what needs to be done, and you fall into this groove, this flow state that really I recommend everybody work as a cook for at least some time in their life just to learn that lesson, because that's what it's about. It's recognizing that you fit within the puzzle, within the cogs of the machine, at a certain speed. That if you're trying to go too fast, you're actually hurting your productivity in the long run, which is really strange when you first really tangibly experience that and you start falling into this groove. Because before that, you feel like, okay, if I could just maybe take like a lot of Adderall or something, I can increase my clock speed to where I can just be infinitely fast. But it doesn't work that way. You have to find that there is an ideal speed to which you're not making mistakes because you're being methodical and deliberate, but you're also not wasting time, right? Okay, so that about does it for this month's reading for my Virgo friends, fellow Virgos. Please let me know what you thought in the comments section. Like and subscribe if you have not already done that. And I will see you guys next month for your next reading.